Mr. Provost and management, Dr. EJIGBO thanks you for believing in him. Dr. EJIGBO is a member of the Association of Educational Research and Evaluators in Nigeria, ASSEREN, National Association of Science, Humanities and Educational Research, NASHA, Teaching and Educational Research Association, and others. Let me crown all of this by saying the obvious that Dr. Moses ACHENEJE EJIGBO is a very happily married man. Married to the most beautiful lady in character and physique, Caroline, and they are hugely blessed with Omojo, Ojo Chide, and Ojo Chigbe. My provost, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege, therefore, to present to you a scholar, teacher, counselor, educational evaluator, researcher, preacher, and our friend, the inaugural lecturer, Dr. Moses ACHENEJE EJIGBO of the Department of Psychology, Guidance and Counseling. Thank you very much.
Please, if you want to clap, clap. If you want to clap, you can continue to clap for him. Thank you very much. You can resume your seat. I want to believe this is an beginning that we ignify majority of us who have served our books. According to the orator in his citation, said Dr. Moses EJIGBO has been the chief lecturer since 2011, over a decade, and he's still reading, and he's still writing. This is a college of reading and writing. So I want to implore every one of us to continue to read or to start reading so that you can be writing. Dr. EJIGBO, we identify with you today. Congratulations. You have heard his background. You have heard about his citation. Now we want to hear him speaking. The professor, Dr. M.Ed Ibrahim, permit me to invite the inaugural lecturer, Dr. Moses EJIGBO, to the podium. Dr. Moses, sir.
Thank you very, very much. Are we using that one? What the one? Okay, probably I have to shift to that place. Okay. While that is going on, let me confirm to us that today is a very beautiful day. And because of the time I've been given, I will stand on the existing protocol and dodge so many things. However, let me recognize my own dear provost, Dr. Mohammed Kabir, my deputy provost who has been praying for me, the registrar who is always encouraging me. And what I said is that I've been saying that the provost, in spite of the main resources of the college, has decided to sustain what must be sustained. To that effect, we are grateful. Thank you, Mr. Provost. Can we put our hands together? We use the word, when you say I'm proud, they look at it as being negative. But let me say I'm excited. that my mentors are here to see their child. I don't want to call names because of the time I've been given. My delegation from my village in Ikpapala, I'm a thoroughbred Igala person. Check the names of my children. Omojo, Ojo Shide, Ojo Chegbe. I think I'm entitled to an award from the School of Languages. They did this, thank God. However, before we take the journey very far, let's please observe as human beings, we're in a community of human beings. We rejoice with those who rejoice, we mourn with those who mourn. We lost a lecturer. Please, can we rise for a minute silence? So may the soul of the departed Mr. James Ako and others rest in peace. Please. So please relax. Provost has told me the duration of time I have. I'll try my best to stick to it. And like I said, I'll try my best. Happy New Month, everybody. Happy Christmas in advance. So please relax. Now look at the title with me. It's not displaying there. Next slide, please. I want us to follow. All right, maybe we'll use this. We are teachers, we use instructional aids. So I don't simply like to be talking. Some friends met me, they say they have Googled and checked the concept of triumvirate in their dictionaries and whatsoever. But you see, in academics, you cook your own soup from concepts and situate it in a context. So in the course of this, you will see how it pans out. So the title I'm dealing with is Triumvirate Educational Assessment. Triumvirate Educational Assessment. If you like, another word for triumvirate is Trinity. Trinity, threesome, three things together. We are saying that is a medication for poor graduate quality in Nigeria. Now we begin by a reflection by Hoffer. Hoffer said, in a time of drastic change, it is the learners who inherit the future. The learned usually find themselves equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. How many of us are learned? You are not learned? Put up your hand if you know you are learned. Now, but if you look at this, if you are learned and refuse to keep learning, you are equipped to live in a world that no longer exists. Like somebody said, you are wise as long as you look for wisdom. The day you think you have found wisdom, you begin to become foolish. Consequently, we are gathered this morning to create a platform, a background for continuous learning. Now, what we are dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, has existential threat for this nation. Like the provost said, you agree with me that across all the sectors of our economy, service delivery is poor. Insecurity is on the rise. Cognitive capacity is low. Attitudinal status is terrible. Skills acquisition is low. And all of these people are called graduates. So who graduated them? And we say they are unemployable. How can somebody you graduate, you will still refer to the person as unemployable? Probably you too, you are culpable. Consequently, it's important for us to look at where we stand. Where did we get it wrong? What can we do to make it improve? Now, let me start by saying that nations of the world, which is now a global economy, profits by education. And no nation is waiting for another nation because everyone is in very stiff competition. And if any nation is going to survive, it depends on how you carefully, consciously, rigorously, and comprehensively build the qualitative education of your citizens. Now, the world is convinced that in order to have national development and to have competitive capacity in international competition, you require qualitative education. Now, it's important for us to know when we say education is everything. Somebody say education is nothing if it's not everything. So what is education? Now, there's a definition there on the screen. It says education is the knowledge and development resulting from the process of being educated. Now, it is not going to school that is education. What knowledge, what development, what skill, what attitude, what cognitive, quality do you have that is relevant, that is used in contemporary times, that can give you bread, that can make you relate and contribute to the society? That is what education is. So it means you can go to school and have Ph.D. and you are not educated properly. Now, that seems to be what we now have in Nigeria. We have graduates. If you look at the picture on the back of the book, you'll discover that the person called graduate is weeping. His mouth is sealed. Why should a graduate be crying and the mouth sealed? It's because he has nothing to offer and the world cannot offer him anything. So he's crying and his mouth is sealed. And we cannot continue like that in this country. It's threatening every aspect of our economy. Now, go to drug sector. When you have poor graduates, such a person becomes a weapon of mass destruction because he'll be producing poor standard drugs. Go to the education sector. Everywhere you go to. Consequently, it's important for us to sit down and treat this matter. Now, what does education do? If we believe that education is the only thing that can deliver us from this, what does education do? If you look at what I did from the work of Doe, he said education first and foremost increases the productive and consumptive capacity of his citizens. That is correct. If my provost were not educated, his productive and consumptive capacity wouldn't have been what it is today. So am I right? Very correct. So that's the first thing education does. It equips people to do what? To think profitably, relate and value constructively, and carry on activities that are beneficial to the individual, society, and the nation. Now, somebody can be educated in the head, but has no attitudinal education, has no skill. Now, look at the guys they call Boko Haram members. Do you think they are intelligent? Talk to me. Very intelligent. The cognitive capacity is developed. What of attitudinal capacity? Not developed. No nation can develop when you have people that are either substandard or are not comprehensively educated. And that is why we are saying that this education must be holistic. Now, there are so many of them, I won't read them because of the time that I have. But if you go to Nwogu, what they said in 2015, he said that education produces the attitudes, the skills, the knowledge, the personalities upon which modern technology, industrialization, organized development, and production depend. If Nigeria wants to be developed, it wants to be industrialized, it wants to be technologically sound, then comprehensive education is key. And Smith, in my work in 2010, says, those who are educated are more disposed to examine, they are more capable of seeing through the interested complaints of factions and sedition. Which means that, look at those who are educated. They can listen to the voice of opposition. But those who don't have correct education don't want opposition to speak. Are we together? My friend will say, you can distinguish between somebody who went to boarding school and somebody who went to day school. He said, if you touch somebody's bucket and say, put it down, that person went to day school. How will you go to a boarding school and they won't touch your bucket, ladies and gentlemen? Is it possible, RB? It's not possible. So, if we are going to have education that will be robust to accommodate everyone, that will boost this nation's economy, is going to be holistic. And Wells 2015 says, civilization is in a race between education and catastrophe. Consequently, if you choose not to be educated, you have invited catastrophe. If you choose education, you have invited civilization. Now, any debilitating factor, therefore, in education sector that will systematically, cumulatively, and progressively cause disaster on our nation must be comprehensively addressed. And I'm privileged that we are given this opportunity to have a platform to deliver this to us. And I'm praying that at the end of this, somebody will hear our voice and translate our voice to policy and to action. Now, looking at all of this, I've been checking and I have empirical evidence. You see, most times when people want to address the issue of education, they say, pump in more money. Government should release more money. There should be more facilities. There should be more of this. Well, I don't discount that. It's important. But where the question I'm asking is this. You have an institution where there's a lot of money, lots of resources and all, and the graduates are still unemployable. It means that we must think outside of the box. Let me even ask, those of us that graduated from secondary school in 1979, and the products that are coming up today, don't let me ask a question about comparability. But you know that there is a gap. Do you agree with me? There is a gap. Now, so I'm looking at educational assessment, which I think holds the key. If we can rejig our educational assessment and build the capacity of our teachers and use appropriate resources, it is you that graduate the student through an assessment process. If you reject that assessment process and somebody is not worthy to graduate, then you have to rethink. That's why we are gathered. Now let's start this journey. I want us to look at educational goals as stipulated by Nigeria. Nigeria says, in Nigeria, this is what we want education to achieve. Now, we are going to look at them. Those of us who are educationists, you know that the educational objectives and assessment are within three contexts of cognitive, affective. Student, what's the last one? God bless you. You are wonderful. Cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So if you take the first letters, it forms CAP. Unless you are trained in these three dimensions, you have no cap to wear. Any cap you wear is deceptive. Now, if you look at the Nigerian goals, the first is that it is expected to develop individuals into a morally sound. I need us to listen because I asked a question. Nigerian education is supposed to develop individuals into morally sound, patriotic, and efficient citizens. I have two questions. Which course teaches that? Hello? Let me read it to you again. Nigeria education, and we are in it in the system, is to develop Nigerians into morally sound, patriotic, and efficient citizens. Lecturers, when last did you teach that? Students, when last were you taught? So what's wrong with our education? If Nigeria said this is the goal we want to achieve, so somebody wants to go to Maiduguri, but is speeding to the way to Lagos, will he arrive? No. That's the first terrible omission. And you know, like Delegiwa said of blessed memory. Oh, he said, Nigerians are shocked beyond shockability. You know the meaning of that? Nothing shocks Nigerians anymore. Even if you hear that somebody stole 200 billion and say, eee. But go to another country, you steal 1 million naira, they want to hang you. Consequently, I'm seeing that we are no longer even sensitive to terrible problems. And that is why in this meeting we must advertise problems. If Nigeria is saying the goal is to develop individuals into morally sound, patriotic, and efficient citizens, and we are not finding it in our colleges, something is wrong. Second one is that education should lead to total integration of the individual into the immediate community, the Nigerian society, and the world. I'm not saying it. It should provide access, education should provide access to qualitative educational opportunities for all citizens. Government should do that at all levels and all of that. Also, that Nigerian education should bring about inculcation of national consciousness, values, and national unity. How many of us are lecturing that one? So it's terrible. Now, we have as a nation that has expectation without preparation. And that is why we must meet, judge up, and come up with actionable recommendations. Now, that is why we are saying that we must have a comprehensive education. Now, there needs to be a conceptual clarification so that all of us can be on the same page. The concept of triumvirate. The word triumvirate is actually a Latin word, which means a group of three powerful individuals. So if you have not checked your dictionary, go and check now. It's a group of what? Three powerful individuals. If you check English language, it says it is a group of three people who work together, especially when they are in charge of something. Mind you, I was telling you that there are three dimensions of learning that must work together in order to produce a high quality graduate. So it's saying that three people who work together, especially when they are in charge of something. In politics, triumvirate means the government of triumvirs. Triumvirs refers to a commission of ruling group. Now, if you go to music, between 1969 and 1980 and sometime in 2002, there was a music band that was called Triumvirate. It was a group of three musicians. Let me leave them. Their names are there. Consequently, in educational practice, three dimensions of learning, namely cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains of learning, must be assessed to ensure high quality graduates. Hence the use of the concept triumvirate. Are we comfortable now? Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Now, that is the indispensability of assessing the governing domains of learning. These are the three governing domains of learning for the production of high quality graduates. Even the language of God, called Igala language. Maybe Provost didn't hear me. I said God's language. Are we together? How many of us believe that God speaks Igala? Oh, I like that. God's own language also speaks to three things. How many of us can read? Thank you very much. That Igala word is an examination. can read that Igala statement there. Igbelijo Eta Ewasham. Clap on for yourself. My former director, Igbelijo Eta Uchachibu. When the three cooking stones are in place, the pot you put on it will be stable. Consequently, we see that our assessment must reflect three components and dimensions if we are going to bring out quality, high quality graduates. Now, let's move. Because of my time, I'm going to jump some things. We say graduates have poor quality. So what do you mean by poor graduate quality? Let's first and foremost know who is a graduate in Nigeria. A graduate is one, listen to me, who has completed, not necessarily acquired the development thereof. Are we together? He has completed the normal years. So he is following the years of the program. He has completed normal years of training for his or her undertaking course in either a college of education like this, a polytechnic or university, and awarded a certificate to that effect, including graduates of other forms of education higher than the secondary school education. So if you graduate from our college, you are what? You are a graduate. You graduate from a monotechnic, you are a graduate. From the university, you are a graduate. You know why? You pass through the years and you are given a certificate, irrespective of whether or not you have anything to show. Now, but when we say somebody is a poor quality graduate, that is the status of a graduate who is deficient in expected and required knowledge, attitude, and skills. So once somebody has a certificate but is deficient in the relevant knowledge, the necessary attitude, and effective skill, that person is a poor quality graduate. He will yet weep. His mouth will be gagged. He has nothing to offer, and this world will offer him nothing. Now, you check and see that unemployment in Nigeria has been on the rise. Look at the next slide. It has been on the rise. In 2018, it was 16.18%. 2019, 17.72%. It keeps rising. Today, at the risk of being said to be too, negative, we have minimized our unemployment rate at 33%. But it's likely to be higher. But do you know what they say? All these things are blamed on what? Unemployability of graduates. That the graduates are not employable, but they are carrying certificates everywhere. Do you know that even the Arab Spring that erupted then had this inkling of unemployability? You have graduates who are not employed. You have raised the social tension. They are not employed. If you are a chief executive and God help you to announce that you want to employ, how many Nigerians are going to come to your house and your office? I don't know whether Provost wants to say something. But is that true, sir? Oh my goodness. Why? So many certificates, but they are unemployable. Many of them. Now, there's something the former president said, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. He said, poor quality graduates from the nation's tertiary institution has compounded the problems of youth unemployment. We are not joining issues with him. We only dress our own part. According to him, many graduates who managed to secure employment in industries were sometimes considered unfit due to the poor education they acquired from their schools. So, where are we putting the blame now? Where are we putting the blame? The school. Their own problem is their problem. We will handle it. Now, our own dear current president, General Muhammadu Buhari, also said something about poor quality graduates. He said that he is not comfortable when products of Nigerian citadels of learning are being described as unemployable, exhibiting lack of job readiness, and so on. Please, let's not say, is he doing his own part? That is not our business. Our business is, what can we do to check our own part of it? Adenekinju in 2005 said, the quality of human capital in Nigeria is not only low, but has deteriorated over the years. Now, it is 17 years after, and it's worse. So if human capital is deteriorating, what we are just saying is, we are just dressing fine. Oh, the future is, unless we do something. It was Professor Lowy that said, things will remain the same. No, for things to remain the same, they must change. Did you hear that? He said, for things to remain the same, they must change. So if you are saying, when we went to school, if you want it to remain that time, what must happen? Things must change. And that is where we are gathered. Now, if this phenomenon is not checked, I want to assure you, our health sector will have problem. Will have problem. Our justice will have problem. Education, politics, they will have problem. Let me not say they are already having problem. Let's be on the safe side. There will be problem if things don't change. Now, I went for a technical aid interview in Bauchi. I was there with Professor Ejima. And the question, they will give each person questions. Those of us from North Central, they brought questions and all of that. But one guy who read geography, because he read geography, they asked him, in Nigeria, when it is 6 a.m., in New York, the time is different. What is responsible? The guy said it is weather. I think you read geography. At least we did this geography in secondary school, international dateline. So I looked at him as if he didn't hear the question very well. So the man, I think the man also is from North Central. He wanted to create safe landing for the young man. He said, no, listen to me. What I'm saying is that in Nigeria in the morning, when you wake up at 6 a.m., if you go to New York, it is not 6 a.m. What is responsible? Do you think in the environment, in the cloud? He said, no, but it is the weather. So Dr. Ejima and I, who went to a correct secondary school, were putting up our hands. I went to Ochaja Secondary School, like you heard. How many of us are from Ochaja? Beautiful. But they refused to give us to answer. Because now, is my lecturer, Mr. Ocheje, John Ocheje, in the house, in the hall? Is it the hall? Now, I want to lay that foundation too. He taught me history in this college. In those years, the question papers were either yellow. Okay, Dr. Ejesi, you should know, and then my father, Okonacha, is there. Hey, again, you remember now? Those, they are questions that will be on yellow paper, different, red, and all those papers. They are not big or tiny, but dangerous. Those, they are papers. I stumbled on one, and I said, I'm going to show Mr. John Ocheje this question that he set. So I came to him and said, sir, look at the question you gave to us in 200 level when we were in NCE. If we give this to the current student, what will you say? Will you not say we are wicked? But the question is the same NCE. What has happened? The standard has collapsed. That graduates are no longer of high quality. That the same lecturer is telling you that if you said the same question that was said several years ago, you are wicked. Then do we look at Buhari? Where should we look at? At ourselves. say that this sort of people will reproduce their kinds in students. That's the truth. You can't give what you don't have. And I said it here that they are weapons of mass destruction and they can cripple our progress. Now, this makes this topic very compelling to me. Now, let's look at our assessment mode in tertiary institutions briefly. I'm careful of our time, but God will have mercy on me. Now, you know that our results of our assessments, they are used for certification, further training, employment, and all of that. Consequently, it must be valid for it to be described as having the competence to perform at that level. Now, I want us to hear what Wilmot and Yakasai said, and then you will reflect. It's in my work in 2006. And you know it was better then. Now,